Welcome to the show. Today we're going to get into some kink and BDSM. I have Barbara Morris and Heather Elizabeth on the show. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back. Welcome to the show, and today's part of the episode today is kink and how to get kinky with sex. Kinky with your partner, and I have Heather Elizabeth with me. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Let's get kinky. Let's talk kinky. What's kinky?
So kink is fun. It's one of those umbrella terms. So it usually means one of three things. The first is the idea that you are really fetishizing something. So whether you have a foot fetish or an elbow fetish, or you fetishize a particular material like leather or silk, something about that thing really turns you on.
Leather's really a turn on. The smell.
The smell, the touch, the texture. Yeah, absolutely.
Wearing a leather G-string and have it, just wear it for a little bit and scrunch yourself.
Already?
Well, no, and then just hang it in front of your partner's nose and it's got the leather smell, and then you got your pussy smell, you know.
So fantastic. You have a fetish.
I do?
You have a leather fetish.
Really? Okay.
Look at that. It's something that involves a reaction. It's okay. It's okay to have a leather. Yeah. It's something that turns you on. It's something that excites your sexuality.
So I just discovered that today.
Yeah, and now you know when you want to be turned on, put yourself in leather.
So what else underneath the umbrella?
So sex that falls outside the normative version of sex. And it's really weird because we don't want to talk about sex in terms of normal versus abnormal, because there's really no standard, right? But what we do know is that some sex is statistically average. This is what most people are doing. Kink usually, or more traditionally, has fallen outside of the statistical average, but I gotta say, when you actually poll people these days, more people are getting kinkier and kinkier. So
why are they getting more kinky? Is it more acceptable? Is this this evolution of the sexual revolution opening up? People are now exploring more of their kinky side, where before they were just kind of hiding?
Well, I think it's become more acceptable to talk about sex in society in general, which means we can actually say the things we're doing and kind of share ideas with not only our partners but also our friends and the internet, right? Social media. You can talk about what you're doing and you can say, oh hey, that thing sounds fun. I want to do that too.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, kink really gives you a way to unleash your creativity in the bedroom.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How does it really help in bond relationships when, let's say the man was always fantasizing about his partner being that kinky way, and then all of a sudden she does it and it's wow, woo, sex is better.
Well, pretty much. I mean, kink gives you and your partner a way to talk about things that you maybe have felt a little shameful or taboo talking about before. Because you don't have to present it as this big oh, I've got this thing, your feet, I want to put them in my mouth. You can just be like, hey babe, don't you think it would be fun if maybe instead of our traditional routine, we just tried kissing everywhere we don't usually kiss on our body parts tonight? Cool. And then try it, and then afterwards talk about the things you like and the things you didn't like, right? I really liked when you were kissing my elbow, but I thought I'd like the back of my neck. I didn't like it so much. I really liked it when you were kissing my toes, or saying what you liked and what you didn't like about it.
What about masturbating in front of each other? Is that kinky?
I think it can be kinky. I think mutual masturbation is always kind of a level up rather than solo masturbation. But it's about props, and it's about what you do in the moment when you're masturbating.
That's a nice natural prop, though. I mean, you can...
Another partner putting on a show? Yeah, well, that's voyeurism and exhibitionism.
Oh, is it?
Right? Yeah, so the voyeurism is the act of watching someone do something sexual for you, or being sexually aroused by watching someone do something. And then the exhibition is getting to put on a show for your partner. And mutual masturbation is really fantastic because you get to hit two at once. You get exhibitionism and you get voyeurism. There are other fun things you can do. You can add in nipple clamps, or you can add in playing with candle wax.
Can we get gentle ones?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think of that as pain, right?
Pain's all relative.
Is it?
Oh yeah. But you can actually, most nipple clamps, and if you want to get ones for a beginner, you want to find the ones that have a little screw or some ability to set how tight you want them to be. So something like a little tweezer clamp, they usually have two prongs like this, and they'll have a thing that moves up and down, and that's how you make them tight or loose. There's also, they call them alligator clamps, and they have like little bites like this and a little screw, again, that controls how tight it is.
What about bondage and things like that, like tying, you know, the hands behind the back and blindfolding your partner?
Yeah, absolutely.
In a gentle way so that you're creating pleasure.
Absolutely, and I know you have another guest coming in for BDSM, so I don't want to steal their thunder,
no,
but basically, kink is an umbrella term.
Yeah.
And underneath it are fetishes, our isms, our BDSM. So all BDSM is kinky, but not all kink is BDSM.
When you're getting into this kind of play, kink play, a personality that you never knew you had can come out, and that's an empowering place to be.
Absolutely.
And go, wow, this really turned me on when I did this.
Yeah, and
take the fantasy out into the materialize it and go, holy crap.
And a lot of people discover not only their dominant side or their submissive side, but they also discover other things about themselves. Like maybe they really want to feel fun and playful like a puppy.
Right.
So that can be a kink, doing puppy role play. So you have a little water dish by the bed, or maybe you play fetch with your favorite toy and you kind of scamper around the apartment on all fours. Or kittens. Personally, I love being a kitten because you just let people pet you for hours. You just curl up in a sunbeam.
Okay.
And that's your fun activity.
And well, role playing is kink. I mean, doctor and patient kind of thing.
Doctor, patient, nurse and student teacher.
Student teacher seems to be a real popular one.
Absolutely. Any of the taboos, right, in society. So power exchange, being attracted to people we're not supposed to be attracted to. There's a huge market for age play as well, where one person plays a younger, more innocent role, and another person plays a more experienced role.
Yeah. What happens when you find out your partner's kinky after all these years? What kind of problems can that cause? Like if the other person's not kinky and you're just like turned off, and what happens? Like,
well, I like to think of any disclosure of learning something new sexual about your partner is an opportunity for growth. And what really matters is how the two of you kind of problem solve in the moment. So if you're kinky, are you inviting your partner into, like, I hate to say solve that problem, but like explore that with you? And your partner's reaction can kind of really determine how it goes. So if I tell my partner, hey, I'm kind of kinky, I really like it when you tell me no and that I can't have an orgasm when we're having sex, because edging, that's called edging, taking me to the edge repeatedly and then at the end letting me fall over makes everything more intense, and I love it. If my partner goes, oh, ooh, no, that's weird, you shouldn't want that, that's actually like my partner needs to explore their shame around sexuality and why that partner is judging you. Like what's going on for them, that they're afraid of it, that they're disgusted by it, what's coming up for them, and I think that's really worth exploring. The second reaction is disinterest, where your partner's like, well, I mean, I could suck your toes, but it really doesn't do anything for me, so I guess every now and then as a special occasion. And that's like navigating any other sexual mismatch between you and your partner. And that can be as simple as, the two of you have different libidos, or one person's raring to go at the drop of a hat, they have spontaneous desire, and the other person has a reactive desire and needs a little warm-up. And that you negotiate like a completely normal thing. Sometimes one person pushes them out of their comfort zone in order to kind of like indulge your partner a little bit more. You work on compromising, you work on supporting your partner and supporting the relationship.
Yeah, I had a partner once who had a kinky side and wanted me to do these things because it aroused him. Like, don't wash your feet and don't wash your genitals for like a couple of days or whatever, because engaging.
The smell.
The smell was very erotic, and for me, it's uncomfortable, but I did it anyways because I believe that you have to have the stop and go, allow a certain time frame, even if you don't want to, do it like for 3 to 5 minutes, and then allow them to have their arousal so that they can get aroused. Maybe that's a place that they need to work at, so that gets them hard, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you want your partner hard, so let them suck your stinky feet.
Well, I think you want your partner engaged in the sex you're having, right? Whether that's hard or whether that's soft, because you can have a lot of fun. A lot of fun in that low state of arousal where people aren't necessarily like super passionate and super ready to go. And in many ways, people use kink for foreplay, right? The sensation play, where you're you've blindfolded someone and you're doing temperature play, so running ice cubes along their body,
Right.
or even just giving them a massage, right? If you blindfold them and give them a massage, you've suddenly made it kinky just because you blindfolded them.
What about bringing a third wheel in? There's somebody that you know, let's say both you and your partner know, and he wants to bring in like a third, like a girl, a woman that you both know. Is that classed as kinky, or is that just a fantasy?
If it feels kinky to you,
under the umbrella,
right?
And the umbrella, yeah.
So you know, we never said the third part of things that make things kinky, and that's sex that pushes your boundaries and pushes your emotional edge.
Okay.
So if the act you're engaging in gives you that extra, like, ooh, like maybe this is shameful, or maybe this is a little bit scary for me, or maybe this is super exciting for me. Again, it's about creativity, it's about engaging with your playful side, it's about doing the things that you never thought you'd be able to do. That's kinky when it comes to sex.
Yeah, I've always had a fantasy with my partner being with another woman and me watching.
Voyeurism.
Am I a warrior?
Yeah, that can be voyeurism. Now, tell me if you don't mind, like me, you, and everybody out there.
I'll answer anything.
Do you like the idea of being a little embarrassed, or is it just all arousal and like everybody's on the same page?
Oh, just all arousal.
Okay.
Not embarrassed.
There's a second element of that where people enjoy the humiliation factor of watching their partner, so cuckolding.
Okay.
And either cuckolding or cuck queening if it's male or female.
Geez, there's lots to learn.
There's so much to
I
learn.
have
There's so
no
much to
clue.
explore.
I'm just, fantasies are it's just nice to be able to know that I'm allowed to do it and not be
absolutely
weird about it.
Now, the thing you have to watch, you want to make sure you're doing it with consent. So you don't ever want to force your fantasies on other people. And you want to make sure you're doing it from a place of happiness and life-affirmingness,
And
right?
yeah, happy, light, and love and pleasure.
Exactly. If you do it and you feel terrible afterwards,
no.
It's probably a good idea to see a professional about talking through your feelings around that.
Yeah, you can peel that away. Okay, well, that was pretty kinky.
Thanks.
I love it.
Fun.
Yeah, I had fun, and thanks for coming on the show. And looking forward to learning some more stuff. If I need to ask questions, I'll call you up.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, we'll be right back. Welcome to the show, and today I have Barbara Morris talking to me on a delicate topic on sexual dysfunctions, or people that are having a hard time even engaging in arousal when they're with a partner. They can't get hard because a certain thing, and I welcomed you to the show for that reason, because I think it's important for people to understand about just some BDSM elements that they're experiencing, and they can't have sex properly unless they do bring in those elements. And can you, what does BDSM actually represent anyways?
It's bondage, discipline, sadomasochism, and then later it became the DNS became dominance and submission.
Okay.
And it's a big umbrella, as Heather said, that covers any kind of sexual activity that's outside the norm or outside social acceptance. Anything, actually. I deal mostly with fantasy, and I think of fantasy like our dream life. Fantasies are like dreams in that it comes from unconscious, bubbling up.
Is there like a misconception about BDSM with a lot of people thinking you're going to be thrown into a big dark room with these big chains on your arms and held up, and somebody's going to whip your ass so that your cock gets hard?
Well, I think all of those things happen. They can happen. In some ways, I think it's much more clear and clean than just regular sex life with people. Because regular sex, often there's things going on in the partner's heads, and they don't understand what's happening with each other.
So there's like these BDSM fantasies going on in their head, and that's the only way that they can
But with BDSM,
enjoy sex?
It's all out in the open, and you get to ask for what you want, and they have safe words, they have, it's all very negotiated and consensual. Consent is a different issue.
Yeah. Is there anybody that ever comes to you and says, I can't get hard with my wife or my partner, my female partner, because I want to do this with her, and it causes a problem with is dysfunctional a little bit because
people come in often, young people especially,
yeah.
with those kind of problems, and a lot of them have been watching a lot of porn since they were very young.
Yeah.
The people in their 20s now have been watching porn since they were maybe 6 years old, some of them.
That's ridiculous.
And then they have
relationships.
They try and have relationships with a partner, whether it's male or female, and they're trying to reproduce what they saw in porn, and they have no idea how to be in a real relationship and with another person.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, you know, I ask them right away, is the porn you're watching like the sex you're having? And most of the time it's not.
Mm-hmm. Or they want it to
and
be?
Well, most of the people that come to see me have a lot of shame and embarrassment about their fantasy life.
Are they not? They're not acting it out in the bedroom with their partner.
Yeah, they're not acting it out.
And
no.
so is that causing? It's causing some dysfunction.
And they don't even. Some of them don't even want to act it out, and they watch things that turn them on, like kiddie porn and violent porn or rape fantasies, and they're watching those things. They don't actually want them, but for some reason that's what turns them on. So people are coming in feeling really upset with their fantasy life, and not necessarily wanting to do those things, but they're in the way because the sex they're having isn't gratifying, and they have to think about maybe violent things or
how do you feel about somebody who really has those fantasies that he wants to act out or she wants to act out, and asking the partner to help them with it so that they can fulfill that fantasy, so that they can be intimate and erotic and pleasurable in a sexual relationship, rather than seeking out in another avenue outside of the relationship? Because there's a lot of places where you can go practice BDSM because you're not getting it at home in the bedroom. So how would you delicately get couples to
Well, I think that's great.
deliver that?
It's great for them to do it together.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of work that has to be done before that. If there's shame and embarrassment, and my work is to help people discover their history, their sexual development, where things came from. Like fantasies, it doesn't mean, I think of BDSM and a lot of things I've described as traumatic reenactment. And I get a lot of flack from that, from the community sometimes around that, because people are gratified and enjoying these activities. But I think for some people, and not for everyone, it is sometimes just fun.
Yeah.
But I think in many cases, something has happened, maybe abuse.
In the past,
maybe not abuse. Even in a lot of cultures, kids sleep in the same room with their parents till maybe they're 10 years old, and they're hearing sex, they're seeing things that they can't process, that is scary and exciting at the same time.
It is.
So Michael Bader, who's a therapist in California, said that sex starts in the mind and then moves down. I think it really starts in the body. Arousal starts in the body and then moves up into our fantasy life.
Interesting.
As infants, we are sexual beings.
Yeah.
We're all sexual beings from
Oh,
day one. So when we are in a situation like that in the bedroom, let's say with the parents, hearing sex or seeing things that are really exciting and scary, it's stimulating and exciting for the infant or the young child. And that becomes the fantasies, and they can be very violent.
Yeah.
They can, see sex as very scary and exciting and violent at the same time.
Especially if they've experienced some screaming or yelling or, banging, beds are banging.
Right. They don't know
what
to make of that.
Mother and father are really getting it on, and kids grow up thinking that there's got to be a lot of screaming and yelling and noise going on, which is okay, and it's empowering to be able to release that through pleasure. But so if there's this shame still going on, and they're afraid or embarrassed to say to their partner, this really turns me on, honey. I want, can you, get me on my hands and knees, and can you straddle me, and I want you just to tell me what you're going to do. And Like,
well, the therapy works through the shame.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to work on the shame and accepting where you came from, where your sexual proclivities were born for you. And sometimes it is abuse, and sometimes if it's been sexual abuse that was long-standing, like childhood abuse with a parent, for instance, you have an abusive situation that was painful, but was also involved with love or caring for this person, and it's all mixed up together.
Right.
So you need to feel pain to have pleasure.
Not physical pain.
Physical pain sometimes.
Yeah, mental pain. It can be
both, all of this. And they're all mixed up together, and you feel terrible about that fact. But if you unravel it with a therapist and own it, you can re-own your own sexuality and get rid of the abuser, or get rid of, or understand at least the situation that it came from, and dissolve the shame.
And it is okay to have the fantasy for life if you want, but I mean, first you have to get rid of the shame and then own it and then embrace it so that you can live with it in a healthy mindset, and not, because I know for one that if you're not comfortable with it, you're not empowering the sexual energy. I mean, that's what I understand about some people that do practice the fantasy. They will go to a professional, you know, dominatrix or someone who offers BDSM play so that they can work through it in the actual practical, physical, so that they can go into the relationship with their partner. I mean, that's another, dominatrix isn't on the psychotherapy end of it. So I think a combination of peeling it away with you and then having an outlet to be able to, once you get them to own it, to power it with physically doing it in an arousing way so that they're functional again.
Or finding the right partner. I know someone that you know, was really disturbed by her fantasies and not even being in them, having her partner in her fantasy life, her partner was always with someone else, doing BDSM things with this other person. So and she was like, where am I in this? And was afraid to tell the partner, and eventually started being able to understanding it, where it came from, talking to her partner, and starting to bring these kinds of things, bondage and
it's a lot of work, isn't it?
It is a lot of work.
I think
very complicated.
I think we all have elements of fear or fantasy, because when I was a child, I heard stuff too, you know, and later on in the years, things go by and it's like, oh my God, that really turns me on, because the memory is there still. Yeah, it's interesting. It was great having you on the show. Really deep topic there. It's healing. Yeah, and it can be very healing. You have to peel the layers to get to the core of what's going on in your own sexual being and dysfunctions, and it's great having you on the show. Thank you. Great. We'll be right back. Thanks for watching the show today. It was great having Barbara and Heather on the show. And if you have any further questions on the topics we discussed on kink and BDSM, feel free to email me directly at sexwithdrzen@gmail.com. We'll see you soon.